see more people, more faces here than the last one. I want to talk a little bit about our product Stackato, some lessons learned that we've have from working in the Cloud Foundry ecosystem. First, a little bit about ActiveState. We have been around since 1997. About 2 million plus developers using the tools, including 97% of the Fortune 1000, have some ActiveState technology in-house. We have a deep knowledge around programming languages and development. We started with Perl on Windows in 97 and have gone cross-platform, cross-language, and now into the platform as a service space. We are a founding gold member of the Cloud Foundry Foundation. So, a little bit about industry recognition. Yep, we've been recognized for creating good tools. Where the rubber hits the road, people have to use the software. They seem to like us, and I appreciate that. So, what is Stackato? The simplest thing is, I've got my Cloud Foundry shirt on. Here's my Stackato shirt. That's it. But it's a little bit more than slapping a logo and changing the color. I've also got Docker underwear on, but marketing said I wasn't allowed to show that. So in Stackato, we're trying to leverage the best of open source. We think in PaaS, that's definitely Cloud Foundry. We make a lot of tweaks for those that really want to be using the PaaS in an on-premise environment or other private PaaS environment, because it could be in the public cloud. We'll run anywhere from VMware, OpenStack, CloudStack, EC2, have customers across the spectrum, including in hybrid setups. But we've done other things where we replace certain key parts because it's necessary. So a little bit about the path. This is where we've gone. We were the first productized version of Cloud Foundry, and have a lot of customers on it. We had them on their Cloud Foundry V1, and added a lot of new things to the Cloud Foundry ecosystem. All those were first introduced in Stackato. And what I want to talk about is the development line. How far or how close were we really to the Cloud Foundry trunk? And as we went through V1, it verged more and more away. So this was the move from V1 to V2 for us. Talking about forking, in the V1 space, there were a lot of changes we were making. Didn't have the foundation running. So all of these things are stuff that we added to the V1 space. And just a lot of stuff to read. But the most important thing is all of that actually had to work in V2 as well. We've got production customers. They expect the same level of features and new ones all the time. So what did it take to do this? 6 months. So for us, as an independent Cloud Foundry product, 6 months of engineering time, lots of people, so many man years, and over 3,000 changes of just our code. That doesn't even include anything about the Cloud Foundry code to get from a V1 to a V2 ecosystem. So what does that actually look like? This is the Stackato 3 architecture. Hopefully you can see it well enough. It is color-coded. Those things in blue with the green highlight, that's where we sort of gild the lily, add a little bit of extra feature stuff on top. Those pieces in green are either completely new or replacements. One of the things we love about the Cloud Foundry design is actually some things are super composable. You can swap one router in for another. Ours is in Node, the core one is in Go, but talks over the message bus. From anybody else's perspective, doesn't make any difference. New services and such added, Docker and LogYard and other pieces in there. So, we had to play a little bit of catch up. Totally revamped CFv2 codebase. Most of it stayed in Ruby, but they swapped out frameworks. Completely new V2 API for customer purposes. We had to have a client that spoke both V1 and V2 at the same time. And the client, of course, also has to know how to know which features are available actually at every single version. Orgs and spaces, replacing groups. Containers were now standard. So, we did a lot of stuff, making sure the tests are passing before and after. This is not just unit tests, but integration tests. So we do have a quarterly release cycle with Stackato. We are now merging every release cycle at least once with Cloud Foundry. That 6 months has come down to 2 weeks, 2-person weeks. And that's, from the CTO and VP of Engineering's point of view, is much nicer. It allows us to integrate more often and not be so worried about it, but also evaluate and pick up all the new features that are coming in. Here's an example of one. IBM added zones. It was great. It was one-dimensional, though. We made it two-dimensional. And other value add, all of these pieces that you'll find in Stackato out of the box. There's audit trails, timeline stuff for managers, all the placement zones as you see. You can optionally front any application with single sign-on. You can see when people actually log into the system. Admins aren't left out of the equation. This is meant to be an on-premise solution, so it's like Heroku in a box, but somebody has to administrate this system. And of course, the developers are not forgotten. And the great thing about Cloud Foundry, it is composable and it is easy to augment. So, a couple of things that I think were talked about this morning. These are 2 existing features in Stackato on the my left. That is application auto-scaling, built in, augmented on top of the health managers, and it'll, it has cooldown, and won't, go spiking beyond your organizational quota, all that kind of stuff. Just nice built into the system. The one on the other side, that is 0 downtime deployments inside a Cloud Foundry-based system. Anytime you push code, we'll not only version the code for you, we'll make sure that there is no downtime of your app, even across multiple instances. And you say, oops, I broke something in the logic. You can press a button. By the way, everything you see we like fancy screens. Managers love fancy screens. They make great screenshots. But all of this is based on the REST APIs, which are all published, and in the JavaScript client for this is even open sourced. So where next? From what we want to see, workload portability is important, interoperability. We're not talking just Cloud Foundry. We're independent, so it's Cloud Foundry. We work in OpenStack, VMware, elsewhere. And we want to see that the best of open source really is leveraged. Docker. We love it. There is no warden in Stackato, and nobody knows the difference. But that's a place I'd like to see us make Diego go. Pick one. You don't need multiple container backends. And I know Warden existed first. In fact, there's nothing wrong with Warden, but it's not Docker. And that's the big thing, is that the ecosystem around that, just leverage that aspect of the open source, and let's work on the PaaS layer. Some of the open source Cloud Foundry related contributions: the command line, JavaScript client code, CFv2 services, connector, persistent file system service, Elasticsearch service, ActiveMQ, there's several other services there. AOK, it's a Ruby UAA replacement. We open sourced this week. Various pull requests, the core code, build packs, etc. So, a little summary. Stackato v3, it is based on v2. We do merges all the time now, and we're not as afraid of them as we used to be. Cloud Foundry does provide an excellent base to work with, the composable elements, and the design. It's great. The message passing, it's a well-done distributed system. There's a lot of work to do, but it's the best thing that is existing now. So, a little bit of point on dogfooding. Yes, we do dog food. This is, if you look for our docs, they run on Stackato. If you look for our patch and upgrade system, it runs on Stackato. So, we're doing the right thing. A little bit about customer happiness. It's always very important. So we throw a few of the numerous customers that we have up here. But it's the usual happy that everyone's talking about, because they are very happy with it. And that's it. The obligatory rare hiring slide. Thank you.